This is TWiT.
This episode of Tech Break is brought to you by our friends at IT Pro TV, now called ACI Learning. Provide more support for MSP teams by keeping their skills up to date in all aspects of IT, including MS Cloud, AWS, CompTIA, and so much more. TWiT listeners can receive up to 65% off an IT Pro Enterprise Solution Plan. The discount is based on the size of your team when you fill out their form.
Yes, Apple has announced an event for Monday, that's October 30th, called Scary Fast. And joining us today to talk about it is the one who was doubted, but the one who predicted it all, Mark Gurman of Bloomberg. Welcome back to the show, Mark.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me as always.
Yeah, pleasure to have you join us today. So, you know what? Let's get right into it. Let's start with the name. How does one interpret Scary Fast, and does it give us a hint at what Apple might announce?
Absolutely. I think it gives us a hint at new chips. Obviously, the M3 has been a long time coming, and so I think we'll finally see those there. And then scary and fast, and the 5 p.m. timing for the actual keynote itself. I think they're trying to squeeze in some new marketing juice, right? They're trying something new here. I mean, why not? It's a bit of a more narrow, less exciting event than the past few events. The timing lines up with Halloween, so why not try something new? And so it looks like that's what they're doing. I don't think there's much more to it than the Halloween theme.
Okay. And I mean, yeah, we got to talk about the timing, like 5 p.m. Pacific time, and it's the day before Halloween. So it's the day before a holiday. It all feels a little weird. So I have to ask you, do you think, was this event always in the plans, or was this a last minute scramble? Okay.
No, it's always been in the plans. I've been reporting since June or July that they were planning to introduce the M3 as early as October. So yeah, this has been a long time coming, but this is one of the latest events they've ever held. I mean, it's at the very, very tail end of October. The reason being is that these 3 nanometer M3 chips are very hard to come by, with a lot of the allocation at TSMC going to the 15 Pro, the A17 Pro chip there. And so they really needed to wait until they can get as many chips as possible. And even so, I think these are going to be in pretty limited quantities from the get-go. So
interesting.
We'll see.
So supply constrained for sure. Now, there's talk of the 24-inch iMac, and you know, I have to say it's still on the small size screen-wise. I mean, 24 inches. How long until we see a larger screened iMac, if ever? You don't report that that's going to be at this event, right?
There won't be a larger iMac at this event. That will happen at the tail end of next year or sometime in 2025, I'm told. But this has been in development for a little bit of time now, and it's a 32-inch. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's exciting. And I guess how kind of outside of the atypical nature of the time and the date, how typical is this product rollout in terms of it being these MacBook Pros, this iMac? Is this kind of in the typical cycle of Apple for announcing new MacBook Pros?
Yeah, I would say so, right? Like the last MacBook Pro came out in January of this year, but it was actually scheduled for October of last year. Mm-hmm. And then remember when things at Foxconn and some of the other Apple production facilities in Asia shut down because of the COVID situation there at the tail end of 22, and the chip shortage was still going on at the tail end of 22. And so they didn't want to get off track. And so they brought it back to what was always planned for the 3rd generation Apple Silicon MacBook Pro, which was for release in October of this year. So yeah, it's pretty typical in terms of MacBook Pro releases. Yeah, because remember the first Apple Silicon high-end MacBook Pro that came out in October of 2021. And so it should have been M1 in October 21, M2 October 22, M3 October 23. But you had that 3-month delay from October to January for the M2 version for the reasons I described. So they're back on track. Or they will be in a week from now.
Yeah, exactly. I guess then I am also just curious because there's been a lot of doubt that there would be an event, and that doubt, you never what is it when you're playing chicken, you never dodged. It's kind of, you know what, I'm expecting this, it's planned to be happening. For the people, because we do have some people who like to really pay close attention to rumors and reports and everything, can you talk a little bit about where your what causes that certainty for you, and maybe why some people ended up dodging when they were playing chicken and saying, okay, maybe there's not going to be a Mac event in October?
I think some of the idea of why there would be no Mac event in October came from the fact that there was no iPad. And so I think that naturally led to speculation that if there's no iPad, Apple wouldn't do a Mac only event, because typically when they do these fall events, they sort of couple the iPad and the Mac together, but no iPads until spring next year. And so they're going Mac only. I particularly think that the M3 chip is enough for an event. And again, this is not an in-person showcase, right? So they're not going crazy about this. It's just going to be an online video. They have invited some media, not including myself, to New York for a screening there and hands-on time in Tribeca. So that will still happen, but no Steve Jobs Theater, not rolling out the red carpet, no big hands-on in Cupertino. So a little bit of New York, and for 99.999% of the world, it'll be online.
Okay, so I just want to reiterate what you said. There will be some media who get to go to an event, or who've been invited to an event for this specific Mac event that was right around the corner. Does that mean
Yes.
that they learned about it whenever the event was announced, and have, after plans to head to New York?
Apple reached out after the event announcement online about the virtual event, inviting, some content creators and media to, they have this loft in Tribeca, so I assume it'll be there.
Got it.
To watch the keynote, and I'm assuming there'll be some hands-on area there as well. Maybe dinner, given the hour, right? Maybe they'll have food and watch. No, I'm serious. Like, they'll have food. Maybe they'll do some Halloween themed stuff. Who knows? But that will be kicking off at 7:30 p.m. On Monday in New York.
Okay.
And the keynote starts today.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And then I guess my last question for you, because since that piece came out, you have released another one about AirPods. So I was hoping you could give us just a few details about Apple's plans for AirPods, not at this Scary Fast event, of course, but a little on down the line. And then, of course, we'll point people to your newsletter for more.
So right now, as you both know, and everyone watching knows, if you're an Apple fan, we're not talking about headphones here, we're talking about the AirPods earbuds. There's three types. You have the second gen, you have the third gen, and then you have the AirPods Pro, right? The third gen, they're not selling so well. The problem is that it's not, better enough than the second gen AirPods Pro, other than the shorter stem, to want to pay the extra money. And you also don't get noise cancellation. So it's not really good enough to buy either. And it's sort of created this mid-tier problem for Apple, where the mid-tier is not selling so well. The AirPods Pro are doing great. The low-end AirPods are still doing great. But they do need to, compete better with the earbuds from Samsung and Sony and Jabra and Bose and whomever. And they need to keep updating these as they become an even important seller for the company. So what they're doing is they're going to get rid of both the second and the third gen AirPods and release two fourth generation AirPods that look the same, differentiated with the higher end version, I guess the new mid-tier, having noise cancellation and having the charging case with the Find My speakers. Both of those will also get USB-C on their cases. Then there'll be a new AirPods Pro redesign, new chip, in a new case in 2025. And then for those wondering, the AirPods Max will get USB-C and new colors, but nothing else at the end of 2024. And those new low-end AirPods are also at the end of 2024.
Wow, they're keeping the AirPods Max around. I've seen an increasing number of people with those, and it's always shocking to me because it's quite the price point.
They're very popular. They're very popular despite the price. But for the time being, there's no reason, even though they're popular, they're still low volume and they're expensive. There's no reason to really add new features. Mm-hmm. They're going to do the bare minimum, which they have to do legally, which is the USB-C.
Got it.